All right. I'm gonna start off with Craig with this one, man. The Chiefs are 3-4. 3-4. Is it time for the Chiefs to panic? Are they gonna make the playoffs?
I think they still can make the playoffs. But I do think there is a little bit of cause for concern that they're 3-4. Um, they're Patrick Mahomes is turning the ball over. They scored 3 points last week. So a lot of people thought the problem was the defense. I still think the problem is the main problem is their defense. But their offense only scored 3 points last week. Mahomes got hurt. He came back, or he's good to go coming up this week. But man, this team is just not the same team. And there's other teams I think have just gotten better. I don't think they've done anything different as far as their offense goes or anything like that. But their defense definitely has taken a step back this year versus last year, and it's definitely not a Super Bowl caliber defense. So just looking at the schedule, though, I think they have a chance. I mean, they have some tough games in here. Obviously, they're playing the first place schedule, so they have the Packers still. They have the Cowboys. They're both at home. You got the Chargers again on the road, Broncos twice. So they got some Raiders twice. So in terms, they can kind of carry their own fate, I guess, or determine their own fate by just playing hard and winning their divisional games, and then just taking care of business at home. Because all the tougher teams, pretty much, besides the conference or besides the division games, they play at home. So I think this week they'll beat the Giants. They'll be back to 4-4. They just got to try to build on that and make something happen going forward. Doesn't help that they got their best running back, even though they don't run the ball as much, is out. Josh Gordon has kind of been I forgot he was even signed by the team. He hasn't even played really. Or when he does play, he just doesn't do anything, doesn't get the ball. Hill just keeps dropping the ball. I just think it's kind of like mental mistakes. Kelsey's not like playing like the best tight end in football anymore. Like, I don't even know who the best tight end right now playing is, the way they're playing. And obviously Mahomes just, like I said, he's turned the ball over a lot, which is uncharacteristic. I think he has 9 interceptions already this year. I think he had like 6 last year or something like that. So he's about to hit double-digit interceptions. And he's just, I mean, there's definitely a cause for concern because there were 7 games in, they have 11 games left, and it's just like they're just kind of running out of time here. They're 2 games back of the Raiders.
Yep.
It could go either way. I kind of got faith in Mahomes that he'll be able to fix it, turn it around. But they're going to have to rely on that offense. Their defense is just so bad that they can't really stop anybody, unless they're playing, I guess, Washington or something, because that's the only team they seem to have stopped, really. But I think that they just have to kind of weather this storm, and I think they'll be okay. They're not going to win the division, I don't think. They'll probably be fighting for a wild card spot easily. Maybe the 6th seed at this point, the way they're looking. Maybe the 7th seed. But it's going to be a dogfight to the end of the season. But I'm just not counting Mahomes out, man. If there's anybody that can lead the team back from 3-4 and make the playoffs with an extra game, it's Patrick Mahomes. So I'm not going to count him out, but they got to do something about that defense, man, because this defense reminds me of Dallas's defense last year. Like really, really bad. And Dallas kind of fixed it towards the end of the season, and they got better. They got better play on both ends, even without their best player. But that's kind of how it's starting out. And I mean, it's not. They still got some tough games left, but I think Mahomes can get it done. So I'm going to say yeah. I'm going to say yeah to make the playoffs.
All right, Corey. Chiefs to 3-4. Is it time to panic in Kansas City, and do they make the playoffs?
Yes, I absolutely do think it's time for some panic in Kansas City. You look at the AFC right now, you have 12 teams that are competing for 7 playoff spots. And by that I mean you have 12 teams that are 3-4 or better. I think right now you can pencil in 4 of those teams for the playoffs in the Chargers, Bills, Ravens, and Titans. The Bengals are still a really young team and have an unproven head coach, so there's a chance they could falter. The Raiders are also up there, and honestly, we've talked about it before. I don't think the roster's that great. maybe Gruden being gone will work in their favor, but I wouldn't be surprised if they fell off again this year, like they have in previous years. But you look at Kansas City's non-division schedule remaining is the Giants, Packers, Cowboys, Bengals, Steelers. Outside of that New York game, which they should win no problem, that's a pretty tough schedule. And this is a team that has major issues right now. The defense, as Gray said, looks historically bad. Not just bad, historically bad. Patrick Mahomes is not playing anywhere near the level we have seen him the last 2-3 years. He has, Chris said, nine interceptions already this season. I mean, his career high is 12. At this rate, he's going to pass that within the next 2 weeks. Mahomes is also getting sacked at the highest rate of his career. And this is an offensive line that they took time, spent money investing, improving, and all of us thought it was going to be really good, potentially the best in the NFL. And it's not looking that way. The production from the backfield has not been great. The receiving core is, outside of Tyreek Hill, he's been boomer bust as normal, but nobody else has really stepped up to, even replace Sammy Watkins, who, did miss games with injury, but would still be a reliable option to show up and pop up every once in a while. I feel like I'm not alone, and I think most everyone has been expecting Kansas City to be able to get their offensive struggles turned around, between Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, but they haven't, and they are quickly running out of time to do so. I will say, part of having that tough schedule down the stretch means that they are going to have the opportunity to play their way into the playoffs, because they're going to have a chance to win a number of head-to-head tiebreakers against teams that they're going to be competing against. But Kansas City has to be really careful about digging themselves a hole too big for them to be able to dig out of. I don't know. It's going to be on Mahomes and Reid to figure this out. I don't know if Mahomes knows his defense is really bad, so it's putting more pressure on himself to try to offset that, which is leading to more mistakes. But they are quickly running out of time to get it turned around, and they are at grave risk of missing the playoffs after 2 straight Super Bowl appearances.
All right. This one was interesting. Everybody's talking about this. It is a very trending topic because we're not used to seeing this. Michael Irvin was like, the Kansas City dynasty was over. And I was like, I don't think it's a dynasty. They only been to 2 Super Bowls. A dynasty to me is what, Broncos back to back. Patriots went 3 or 4, Dallas. I don't think they are a dynasty. Go ahead, Corey.
I was just so that when you bring up the Patriots like that, Patriots won 3 out of 4, but remember, the year after that first Super Bowl, they missed the playoffs.
Yep. Yeah.
So missing the playoffs 1 year doesn't necessarily mean their run's going to be over. But
yeah. Exactly. So to my point, it's like Michael Irvin just went like all the way there. And I respect him, and I just don't agree with his opinion on that. I think it's not. Nick Wright is a big Kansas City fan on First Thing First. He thinks it's time to panic. Me, it's not. I'm gonna wait until this 4-game stretch. This 4-game stretch they have is very vital. Now, if they go 2-2, they'll be 5-6, which is trending up. If they go 1-3, the season is done. If they go on 3-1, they'll be 6-5. Right? Yeah, 6-5. So it's like, okay. Right? So, Craig, I think it is a difference between 5-6 and 6-5. But that one game could be a push, right? So this next 4 games, they have the Giants, Monday night, winnable. They're going to win that game. Then they have the Packers. I don't know. Don't know about that. It's going to be a very interesting game. Then they have the Raiders, a very winnable game. Then they have the Cowboys. I don't know about that one, but and like if they can beat the Raiders and the Giants, and they lose to the Cowboys and the Packers, they're 6-5, so they're better. Now, if they beat the Giants and they lose to the Packers, the Raiders, and the Cowboys, their season is done. They would be 4-7. That's very difficult to get in the playoffs, I think, because you'll be 10-7. What we seen last year from the Dolphins, they'll probably be on the outside looking in. I mean, yeah, especially according to that's the 2 topics from now. But yeah, if they go 1-3, then their season is done. So I think this is a very crucial stretch. But I think they can get it together. Let's hope. But that defense is very atrocious. Like Craig said, you know what? It reminds me of the defense. Remember when New Orleans defense was terrible? What was that? How many years ago was that? Is that a couple of years ago? 3-4 years ago? It was like horrible to the point. Like I think it was one of the worst defenses in NFL history. And I think that's not the year. I don't think they went to the playoffs that year. That's probably one of Drew Brees' losing seasons because the defense was so bad. But that's what their defense reminds me of. So it's going to be very interesting to see. Let's give it this next 4. Then I think we can gauge to see where they're at, right? They're 6-5 and 5-6. It's up to them. But if they go 1-3 down the stretch, it's Rap City. I don't know how they're gonna, fire anybody, but Spagnuolo is probably going. I don't know, but they're gonna reshift. They're gonna make some major changes. Corey's right. The offensive line. Oh man, a journalist said this. No, it was Michael Irvin. He was like, Orlando Brown is not a pass blocking tackle. He came from the Ravens. He's a run blocking tackle. I was like, okay, that's a good point. But the offensive line, they revamped it and they look horrible. Thank you, Corey. Listen, all 3 of us had the offensive line at the beginning of the season, the pre-rankings, as revamped and good. And now it's like, it's not. So they probably need to have a players only meeting. I don't know if they had it yet, but they probably have, to get fired up and light some fires under people's butts. I would like to be a fly on the wall for that meeting now. Because I want to see how this is a good time for. Listen, every athlete goes through it, but this is a good time for Patrick Mahomes to go through his adversity. This is what it's being a star NFL player is about. Adversity, man. Got to figure it out.